You're nothing but a wannabe cop trying to steal from your own family. My father's face was ice cold. His fingers gripped my wrist, leaving red marks on the skin. I looked down at the police badge on my chest, then back at him. I forbid you from going near that old man. He's our responsibility now, not yours. My mother stood beside him, red manicured nails tapping against the marble countertop. This living room cost $500,000. Expensive Chanel perfume filled the air. Afternoon sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows. Everything perfect. Except the truth. Madison, my mother said, voice sweet and fake. You need to understand. Grandpa is sick. This isn't your business. I tasted metal at the tip of my tongue. Signal of anger. I learned this at the police academy, when your body prepares to fight. But I didn't fight. I just stood there in my navy blue uniform, badge gleaming under the crystal chandelier. I understand, I said, my voice flat. Controlled. Completely. My father smiled. He thought he'd won. He always thought that. Good. So we understand each other. I turned to leave. Combat boots made no sound on the hardwood floor. My hand reached for the brass doorknob. Cold. Smooth. I stopped. But that was before I learned what they'd been doing to him. I didn't turn around. Didn't need to. I could feel the silence behind me. The kind of silence when people realize they just underestimated someone. And before I decided to show them what happens when you mess with the wrong cop. The door closed behind me. Soft click of the lock. Final. But before I tell you what happened next, let me tell you how this all started. About an 8-year-old girl. About a grandfather. And about what family means when nobody wants you there. Because sometimes, the people who dismiss you as just playing dress-up don't realize you've become exactly who they never thought you could be. Detective Madison Davis, granddaughter of William Davis, student of the man who taught her that real family protects real family, even when it costs everything. I was 8 when my parents divorced for the first time. Not because of love, because of business. Dad needed to restructure his real estate company to avoid a lawsuit. Mom needed space to find herself. 2 people standing in this same living room, discussing me like I wasn't there. Where I'd live wasn't the priority. The Miami project mattered more. Sorting out feelings mattered more. So they called Grandpa, William Davis, 57 then. Vietnam veteran, retired county sheriff. He came to pick me up in his old black Ford pickup, cigarettes and coffee smell soaked into the cabin. I climbed into the passenger seat, backpack holding everything I was allowed to bring. I didn't cry. Already cried it all out the week before, listening to shouting matches through bedroom walls. Instead, I just nodded and stared out the window as the pickup pulled away from the driveway. Grandpa's house was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, living room that doubled as kitchen. No marble floors or chandeliers. Just worn linoleum with scuff marks. Dark oak table, and a 32-inch TV from Walmart. But it had something my parents' mansion didn't have. Warmth. First morning, he woke me at 6. Life skills, he called it. Can't depend on other people forever. He taught me to make pancakes from flour, eggs, milk. Not from a box mix. My hands were tiny compared to the whisk, but he stayed patient. Cooking is about patience, not speed. After breakfast, the garage. Tools everywhere. Toolbox big as a dresser. He picked up a wrench, explained that a woman needs to know how to fix things. World's full of people trying to take advantage if you can't. First week, changing oil in the pickup. My hands covered in grease, clothes dirty. At my parents' house, this would never be allowed. But he just laughed. Little dirt never hurt nobody. Clean hands, clean conscience. That's bullshit rich people say. Second week, shooting. .22 caliber rifle in the backyard. Not for hunting, he explained. For protection. For confidence. A person who knows they can defend themselves walks different. I remember that feeling. Rifle butt against my shoulder. Him standing behind me. Steady hands guiding mine. Breathe. Aim. Squeeze, don't pull. Bang. Tin can flew off the fence post. Good girl. Natural shooter. But most important, he taught me to read people. People lie, he said. They lie with their words, with their smiles, with their fancy clothes. But they can't lie with their eyes, their hands, their posture. We'd sit in Denny's on weekends. He'd point out different people. See that man over there? Nervous. Keeps checking his phone, touching his wedding ring. He's meeting someone he shouldn't. How do you know? Body language. 20 years as a cop teaches you to see things. He explained that people think they're complicated, but they're not. Fear, greed, love, anger. It all shows if you know how to look. Third month, he started teaching about justice. There's legal and there's right, he said. Sometimes they're the same thing. Sometimes they're not. Your job as a human being is to figure out which is which. He told stories about police work, cases where he had to choose between following orders and doing the right thing. I chose right. Sometimes got in trouble for it, but I could sleep at night. I asked if he ever got scared. Every day, he answered. Scared of making the wrong decision. Scared of letting people down. But you know what scared me most? Not trying. Staying quiet when someone needed help. He paused, looked at me serious. Promise me something, Madison. If you ever see someone who can't help themselves, you help them. Even if it's hard. Even if people tell you not to. Especially then. I promised. 8 years old, sitting in a diner booth, sticky syrup on my fingers. Didn't know that promise would cost me everything. 6 months later, my parents called. Business problems sorted out. Need Madison back. Family needs to be together. Grandpa drove me home. Didn't say anything the whole trip. When he pulled into the driveway, he turned off the engine and sat quiet for a while. Remember what I taught you, he said. And remember, you always have a home with me. Always. He handed me a key. Brass, worn smooth. Front door key. Keep it. You never know when you might need it. Back in the luxury house. Marble floors cold under my feet. Mom hugged me. Chanel perfume overwhelming. Oh, sweetie, we missed you so much. But that was a lie. I knew because Grandpa taught me to read people. Mom wouldn't look me in the eye. Dad was busy with phone calls. They didn't miss me. They just needed to look like good parents. First night back, I heard them talking in their bedroom. She's different, Mom said. More independent. Less manageable. Your father filled her head with nonsense. She'll adjust, Dad answered. Kids forget. But I didn't forget. Over the following years, the pattern was clear. Every time I mentioned Grandpa, they changed the subject. Every time I asked to visit, they were busy. Always busy. Age 12. Grandpa wants to take me fishing. Sorry, sweetie, you have piano lessons. Age 14. Can I spend summer with Grandpa? You need SAT prep, important for college. Age 16. Grandpa said he'd help me apply to the police academy. Police academy? Madison, we've talked about this. You're going to business school. But behind their backs, I kept contact. Secret phone calls, letters. He sent me books about law enforcement, criminal justice. I hid them in my bedroom. Senior year of high school, he wrote a letter of recommendation for my police academy application. I applied in secret, got accepted, full scholarship. Dinner table announcement, silence. Fork hitting plate. Mom put down her wine glass. You're not serious, Dad said. Madison, police work is for… He paused. Different kind of people. You're better than that. Different how? You know, people without options, without family money, without a future. Grandpa was a cop. Your grandfather made poor choices. We won't let you make the same mistake. But I was 18, legal adult. I started the academy despite their objections. Graduation day, proudest moment of my life. Badge ceremony, uniform, oath of service. I looked out into the audience, searching. Grandpa sat in the front row, his uniform pressed perfect, medals on his chest, tears in his eyes, clapping harder than anyone. My parents? Nowhere. After the ceremony, he approached. I'm proud of you, kiddo. Your grandmother would have been proud too. Where are Mom and Dad? He paused. They had other commitments. Later, I saw the Facebook post. My parents at the country club, champagne brunch. Posted at the same time as my graduation. Caption: Relaxing Sunday with friends. That was the moment I realized something. Grandpa didn't just teach me about fixing cars and shooting guns. He taught me about unconditional love, and my parents? They had no idea what that was. Next 5 years, the pattern continued. Every promotion, every commendation, every success in police work, he was the only one who cared. My parents? They introduced me at parties as our daughter who's going through a phase. When is she getting a real job? Family friends would ask. Soon Mom would answer, this police thing won't last. But it did last, and I got good at it, really good. Patrol work taught me street smarts. Detective training honed investigation skills. Community policing built relationships. Every case solved, every criminal caught, every victim helped. I carried Grandpa's lessons with me. Help people who can't help themselves. Stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Choose right over easy. Lessons I never imagined I'd need to apply to my own family. Because at 78, Grandpa started forgetting things. Small things first. Names, dates, where he put his car keys. Getting old, he'd laugh. Brain's like an old computer. Sometimes takes time to boot up. But the forgetfulness got worse. Doctor diagnosed early-stage Alzheimer's. Progressive. No cure. Would get worse over time. Grandpa had me. Weekly visits, phone calls, help with bills and appointments. But he also had family. A son and daughter-in-law with money, resources, time. Except they weren't interested in providing support. They were interested in something else entirely. Control. Money. Assets. And they were about to learn that messing with William Davis meant messing with his granddaughter, Detective Madison Davis, who had just spent 5 years learning how to investigate elder abuse, how to build cases, how to get justice for people nobody else cared about, including her own family. But before I could protect Grandpa, I needed to prove myself professionally, needed to earn respect, not just from him, but from the department, from the community. Needed to become the kind of cop he always knew I could be, the kind of cop who never backs down, never gives up, never lets family down. Real family. Academy graduation was just the beginning. Rookie year, they paired me with Officer Janet Torres. 15 years on the force, reputation for eating rookies alive. First day, she sat in the patrol car, sizing me up from head to toe. "Heard your daddy's got money," she said. "Think you can buy your way through this?" The streets were nothing like the academy. Real people, real problems, real consequences. Torres watched everything. How I approached suspects, handled angry drivers, wrote reports. "You write like a college textbook," she commented after the first week. "Police reports need to be clear, simple. Judges aren't impressed by big words." I learned, adjusted. Grandpa's lessons about reading people kicked in. Traffic stops became exercises in human psychology. Nervous driver hiding drugs, aggressive drunk covering fear, domestic violence victim making excuses. The patterns he taught me suddenly became relevant. Week 6 brought my first real test. Domestic violence call downtown. Apartment complex. Neighbors reporting screaming, furniture breaking.
A woman answered the door, Maria Santos, 34. Makeup couldn't hide the swelling around her left eye. Behind her, a trashed apartment. Broken lamp, overturned chair. "Everything's fine, officers," she insisted. "Just an accident." Tripped over the coffee table. Inside, her boyfriend sat on the couch. Carlos Mendez, 28, scraped knuckles, beer cans everywhere. "What's the problem?" Like she said, accident. Standard questions. Maria insisted everything was fine. Carlos was cooperative but defensive. Textbook case where the victim was too scared to press charges without evidence of immediate danger. Outside after the call, Torres was frustrated. "Happens all the time," she said. "Can't arrest without victim cooperation." But something bothered me. A detail Grandpa taught me to notice. Car keys hidden behind the coffee maker. Purse ready by the door. "She's planning to leave," I told Torres.
People prepare escape routes when they're desperate. I suggested going back. Not as a police officer, as a woman who understands. Torres was skeptical, but let me try. I knocked again. Maria was surprised to see me. "Mrs. Santos," I said gently, "I know everything's not fine. You don't have to be alone." I handed her my card with my personal cell number on the back. "Call anytime, day or night. We have resources, safe houses, legal aid." Maria looked at the card, tears in her eyes. "He said police wouldn't believe me, said they'd take my kids." "That's a lie," I assured her. "We're here to protect you and your children." 2 days later, she called. Carlos was arrested after a beating that left her with a concussion. Restraining order issued, safe house placement, kids protected. Torres was impressed. "Not bad, rookie," she said. "You saved that woman's life." Year 2 brought a community policing assignment. High-crime neighborhood, mostly drugs and gang activity. Residents didn't trust police. Years of bad relationships, excessive force, broken promises. "Your job," Sergeant Martinez explained, "is to rebuild trust. Walk the beat. Get to know people. Show them we care about the community, not just arrests." Easier said than done. First week, people crossed the street when they saw me coming. Kids threw rocks. Store owners refused eye contact. I remembered Grandpa's words. Sometimes helping means showing up when nobody wants you there. So I kept showing up. Mrs. Rodriguez, 67, lived alone in the corner house, windows boarded up after a break-in. I stopped by daily. "Just checking, Mrs. Rodriguez. Everything okay?" First week, she barely opened the door. Second week, coffee invitation. Third week, tears. about her grandson involved with the local gang. "He's a good boy," she cried, "just no opportunities, no father. The gang gives him money, purpose." Miguel, 16, smart kid who used to want an engineering career. Single mother working 3 jobs. No money for college. Gang offering $500 weekly for drug running. Instead of arresting him, I listened. Connected him with the Police Explorer program. Mentorship opportunities, scholarship information, job training programs. It took months, but Miguel left the gang, got his GED, started community college. Word spread. Other families approached me. Mrs. Chen's store getting robbed weekly. Mr. Williams' car stolen twice. Teenagers breaking into abandoned houses. Instead of just taking reports, I dug deeper, found root causes, connected people with resources, worked with community leaders to organize neighborhood watch programs, set up after-school programs, brought in social workers, job counselors, addiction specialists. The crime rate in my sector dropped 23% in my second year. More importantly, relationships changed. People started calling police when they needed help, instead of avoiding us. The department noticed. Commendations started coming. Community Policing Award. Rookie of the Year. Letters of appreciation from residents. Year 3, they offered me the detective track. "You've got instincts," Lieutenant Wong said. "Eye for detail. People trust you. Want to move up?" Detective work meant investigations, real cases, missing persons, financial crimes, sometimes homicide. My first major case, elderly man found dead in his apartment. Frank Peterson, 79, lived alone. Neighbors hadn't seen him for weeks. Body dehydrated, malnourished. Apartment filled with unpaid bills. The medical examiner ruled natural causes. Case closed. But something didn't feel right. Details Grandpa taught me to notice. Fresh groceries in the fridge, but expired milk. Television on, but glasses missing from the bedside table. Checkbook with strange signatures. I investigated deeper. Frank had a caregiver, his nephew who visited twice weekly. The nephew claimed Frank refused help, wanted independence. I interviewed neighbors. Mrs. Kim said Frank always asked for help reaching high shelves. Didn't seem too proud to accept assistance. Mr. Thompson saw the nephew leaving with boxes, thought they were donations. Financial records revealed a pattern. Nephew Thomas accessing Frank's accounts, withdrawing money, selling belongings. Further investigation showed Thomas had gambling debts, needed quick cash. He'd isolated Frank from other family members, convinced him to sign power of attorney, then neglected him while draining his finances. Thomas was arrested, charged with elder abuse, financial exploitation, negligent homicide. Convicted. 8 years in prison. But Frank was still dead, still failed by the system, by family. The case affected me personally, made me think about Grandpa, about the vulnerability of elderly people, about how family members can become predators. The department recognized my work on the Peterson case. Promotion to Detective 2. Younger than usual for the rank, but my track record spoke for itself. Local newspaper interview. Detective Davis brings a fresh perspective to elder abuse investigations. Her attention to detail and community connections help solve cases others might miss. My parents read the article. Their response? "Madison's making a name for herself in her little police thing," Mom told country club friends. "When is she going to get serious about her career?" Dad asked at family dinner. "This detective stuff is fine for now, but what about a real future? Business? Law? Something with potential. Real potential." After I'd solved a homicide case. After the community crime rate dropped under my watch. After letters from grateful families. Grandpa's reaction was different. He called me the night after the article was published. "Proud of you, kiddo. You're doing exactly what you were meant to do." "Sometimes I wonder if I'm making a difference," I confided. "You are." That Peterson case, his family got closure. Justice was served. That's what matters. A pause. Then, "Your parents don't understand. They measure success by money, status. You measure it by lives improved, hearts healed, wrongs made right. Do you think I made the right choice? Police work?" "Madison, kiddo, a choice isn't about what others think. It's about who you become when you make it. And you've become exactly who I hoped you'd be." That conversation stuck with me. The truth was, police work had changed me, made me stronger, more confident, more capable of standing up for people who couldn't stand up for themselves. Skills I'd need sooner than expected. Year 5. Grandpa started forgetting things. Small things first. Names of neighbors, dates, where he put his car keys. "Getting old, kiddo," he'd laugh. "Brain's like an old computer. Sometimes takes time to boot up." But the forgetfulness worsened. Missed appointments, left the stove on, got lost driving to the grocery store he'd shopped at for 20 years. The doctor diagnosed early-stage Alzheimer's. Progressive. No cure. Would worsen over time. How long? Hard to say. Could be stable for years. Could progress quickly. Depends on stress levels, support system, quality of care. Support system. Grandpa had me. Weekly visits, phone calls, help with bills and appointments. But he also had family. A son and daughter-in-law with money, resources, time. Except they weren't interested in providing support. They were interested in something else entirely. And they were about to learn that messing with William Davis meant messing with his granddaughter. Detective Madison Davis, who had just spent 5 years learning how to investigate elder abuse, how to build cases, how to get justice for people nobody else cared about, including her own family. The call came at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Grandpa's voice was shaky, confused. "Madison, it's Grandpa. I can't find my medication." He said my parents had visited the day before, moved some of his things. Said they were taking better care of him now. Said he shouldn't call me anymore. Said I was too busy with work. I drove 40 minutes through the night. The keys he gave me when I was 8 were still in my pocket. Grandpa's house was different. Empty spaces where furniture used to be. TV gone. The easy chair where he used to read the paper, missing. Prescription bottles on the kitchen counter, disappeared. They took them, he explained when I asked about his medications. Said they'll manage the dosage for me, too complicated for an old man like me. He sat on the old couch, wearing pajamas, lost in his own home. This was deliberate isolation, medical neglect, textbook elder abuse. A stack of papers on the coffee table, power of attorney forms, healthcare directives, financial authorizations, all dated yesterday, all with Grandpa's signature, but the handwriting was shaky, uncertain. I recognized the signs. Coercion, pressure tactics, exploitation of cognitive decline. "Do you remember signing these?" I asked gently. "They said it was for my own good," he answered, confused. "Said family needs to take care of family." The next morning, I called my parents. Professional tone, controlled. "We need to talk. about Grandpa's care situation. Mom's voice was sweet as syrup. We've been meaning to call. Dad and I decided it's time we took a more active role in Grandpa's care. By removing his medication? I asked directly. A pause. Those medications were confusing him. We're working with his doctor to simplify the regime. Lie. I had accompanied Grandpa to doctor appointments. The medications were clear, well organized. He'd managed them fine with a weekly pill organizer. Which doctor? I pressed. Dr. Stevens, geriatric specialist. Much better than that old family doctor, Dr. Stevens. A name I didn't recognize. I'd like to meet with him, discuss Grandpa's care plan. That won't be necessary. We're handling everything now. Mom, I'm his granddaughter. I have a right to be involved. Actually, sweetie, you don't. We have legal guardianship now. All medical decisions go through us. Legal guardianship? Obtained through power of attorney signed by a man with early-stage dementia. Under pressure. Without independent legal counsel. Elder abuse investigation mode activated. The next week, I visited Dr. Stevens' office. Professional credentials legitimate, but the conversation was disturbing. Mr. Davis's family was very concerned, Dr. Stevens explained. Felt he was over-medicated. We've reduced prescriptions significantly. What's your assessment of his cognitive function? Moderate decline. Requires supervised care. The family's decision to take control is probably best. He hadn't examined Grandpa personally, just reviewed paperwork provided by my parents. A second opinion based on biased information. I conducted my own assessment. Visited Grandpa during a weekday afternoon. Found him alone, confused, dehydrated. Lunch dishes unwashed. No evidence of caregiver presence. Where's your caregiver, Grandpa? Supposed to come mornings, sometimes forgets, sometimes doesn't show up. Financial records told a different story. My parents were paying for full-time care. The money was going somewhere else. I interviewed neighbors discreetly. Mrs. Chen, haven't seen a caregiver for days. Your grandfather was watering the garden in the rain yesterday. Seemed confused. Mr. Patterson, found him wandering down the street around midnight last week. Had to walk him home. A pattern was emerging. Neglect disguised as care. Money diverted. Medical needs ignored. But I needed a smoking gun. Evidence strong enough for criminal charges. The opportunity came the following weekend. Family dinner at my parents' house. To discuss Grandpa's situation, Mom explained over the phone. I arrived in civilian clothes. No uniform, no badge visible. Let them think I was just a concerned granddaughter. Extended family was present. Uncle Tom and Aunt Sarah, cousins Jenny and Michael. Everyone concerned about Grandpa's declining condition. It's such a burden, Aunt Sarah sighed. Bill needs professional care. Expensive, though, Uncle Tom added. Good facilities cost a fortune. My parents nodded sadly. We're exploring options. But meanwhile, we're doing our best. Bullshit. All of it. Grandpa arrived looking frail. Thinner than the previous month. Clothes rumpled. Medication fog evident in his eyes. Hi, Grandpa. I hugged him. Whispered, Are you taking your pills? Which pills? He whispered back, confused. They keep changing them. During dinner, my parents performed perfectly. Caring children taking responsibility for their aging father. Everyone was impressed by their dedication. Madison, your parents are saints, Cousin Jenny gushed. Taking on caregiving responsibility like this? Yes, I replied carefully. Very dedicated. After dinner, the family chatted in the living room. I excused myself. Bathroom break. Instead, I slipped into Dad's home office. Financial documents were neatly organized in the file cabinet. Grandpa's accounts, healthcare expenses, insurance claims. I photographed them with my phone camera. Evidence of financial exploitation. Caregiver payments to a fake company. Medical bills for services never provided. Insurance fraud. Madison, what are you doing? Mom stood in the doorway, suspicious. Looking for bathroom tissue, ran out upstairs. Bathroom supplies are in the hall closet. Found them, thanks. But the damage was done. She knew I'd been snooping. Alert level elevated. The real confrontation came the next evening. My parents requested a family meeting at their house, just the three of us. Madison, we're concerned about your behavior lately.
Which behavior?
Questioning our decisions about Grandpa. Interfering with his care. We think you're having trouble accepting that he needs professional management. Professional management that leaves him dehydrated and confused? Dad's face darkened. That's enough. You don't know what you're talking about. I know elder abuse when I see it. Silence. Dangerous silence. Elder abuse? Mom's voice was sharp. Madison, your grandfather is receiving excellent care. No, he's not. He's being neglected, isolated, financially exploited. You're being ridiculous. I pulled out my phone. Photos of the financial documents. Caregiver payments to All Care Solutions, LLC, a company that doesn't exist. $5,000 per month for services not provided. Dad stood up abruptly. You little bitch. You went through my files. I investigated. It's what I do. You investigated your own family? When my family commits crimes, yes. Mom tried damage control. Madison, sweetie, you're misunderstanding the situation. I understand perfectly. You obtained guardianship through coercion. You're neglecting his medical needs. You're stealing his money. We're not stealing anything, Dad shouted. We're protecting family assets. There it was, the admission. Protecting them from whom? From nursing homes. From medical bills that would drain everything. From leaving nothing for the family. So you'd rather let him suffer? He's not suffering. He's getting appropriate care. Appropriate care doesn't leave bruises on his arms from falling. Doesn't result in weight loss from missed meals. Doesn't cause confusion from wrong medications. They stared at me, really seeing me for the first time. Not their little girl playing cop. A real detective with real evidence. Madison, Mom said slowly. What exactly are you planning to do? My job. Protect elderly victims from abuse. You can't be serious. You'd arrest your own parents? If my parents commit elder abuse, yes. Dad stepped forward. Intimidation tactics. You have no idea what you're fucking with. I have connections, lawyers, politicians. I can destroy your career with one phone call. You can try. I'm serious, Madison. Back off. This doesn't concern you anymore. Actually, it does, because I'm opening a formal investigation. Case number 2024 EA0847. Elder abuse, financial exploitation, medical neglect. Mom went pale. You can't do this to us. We're your parents. Being my parents doesn't give you a license to abuse my grandfather. He's our father. Then act like it. I turned to leave, my hand on the doorknob. This isn't over, Dad called. You're making a huge mistake. No, I said without turning around. You made the mistake. You assumed I was still that 8-year-old girl you could dismiss. The door closed behind me, but before I could proceed, I needed backup. Because arresting your own parents requires witnesses, and I wanted an audience for the moment they realized exactly who they'd been underestimating. Detective Madison Davis, granddaughter of William Davis, student of the man who taught her that family protects family. Real family. The investigation took 3 weeks to build an airtight case. Dr. Martinez examined Grandpa thoroughly. The medical assessment was damning. Malnutrition, dehydration, medication errors causing cognitive confusion beyond his Alzheimer's symptoms. Classic patterns of negligent care. Financial forensics revealed systematic fraud. All Care Solutions LLC, a shell company registered to a P.O. box. No employees, no services. $35,000 diverted over 7 months. Insurance claims for phantom treatments, Medicare fraud. But when I prepared the arrest warrants, complications arose. Dad had connections, deep ones. Phone calls were made, pressure was applied. District Attorney Patricia Williams called me into her office Wednesday morning, her expression troubled. Detective Davis, I've received some concerning calls about your investigation. From whom, ma'am? Mayor Henderson, Police Chief Morrison, several city council members. They're questioning the validity of your evidence. Ma'am, the evidence is solid. Independent medical evaluation, financial records, witness statements. They're suggesting this is a personal vendetta. A family dispute disguised as a criminal case. My stomach dropped. Dad was already playing power games, calling in favors. That's not true, ma'am. This is textbook elder abuse. Chief Morrison wants to see all the files. He's suggesting we pause the investigation pending review. Review by whom? Internal Affairs. Make sure there's no conflict of interest. I felt the walls closing in. Dad was using exactly the tactics I'd expected. Discredit the detective, question the case, buy time. Ma'am, every day we delay, the victim suffers more abuse. I understand, Detective. But politics matter. If we move forward and the case gets dismissed due to conflict of interest, the perpetrators walk free. 24 hours. That's what the IA review would take. 24 hours for my parents to destroy evidence, transfer assets, maybe even move Grandpa out of state. Unless, ma'am, what if the case was too public to dismiss, too many witnesses? What do you mean? Tomorrow night, charity gala at the Fairmont Hotel, 500 guests, media coverage. My parents are co-chairs, presenting a major donation to the Children's Hospital. You want to arrest them at a charity event? I want to present the evidence publicly. Let the community see the facts before politics can bury them. That's risky, Detective. Could backfire. Or it could ensure justice gets served. She studied me carefully. You're certain about the evidence? Absolutely certain. Then do it. But it better be bulletproof. Thursday evening, Fairmont Hotel ballroom. The city's elite gathered for the annual Children's Hospital Gala. $1,000 per plate dinner, silent auction, orchestra playing. My parents were in their element. Designer gowns, tuxedos, champagne toasts. Center of attention as co-chairs announcing a record-breaking donation. I entered during cocktail hour. Full dress uniform, badge prominent. Backup officers positioned at exits. Johnson, Martinez, Torres, all volunteered for this moment. Whispers followed my movement through the crowd. There's Madison Davis, Richard and Jennifer's daughter, the police officer. 8:30 p.m. The program began. The Master of Ceremonies introduced the evening's highlights. Our gracious co-chairs, Richard and Jennifer Davis, will present their family's generous contribution. Applause. Spotlights. My parents walked to the podium with an oversized check. $50,000 donation. Camera flashes. Smiles everywhere. This donation represents our family's commitment to children's welfare, Dad announced. We believe in protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The irony burned like acid. Protecting children while abusing their elderly father. Behind the scenes, the hotel manager discreetly approached the podium, whispered in the MC's ear. Confusion crossed his face. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC announced, we have a special presentation. Detective Madison Davis from the Elder Abuse Division would like to address the gathering. A murmur went through the crowd. Unexpected, not on the program. I walked to the stage. 500 pairs of eyes. Local news cameras. This was the moment. No going back. Good evening. I'm Detective Madison Davis. Some of you know me as Richard and Jennifer's daughter. Tonight, I'm here in a professional capacity. Confused glances. My parents frozen at the podium, still holding the donation check. 3 weeks ago, I began investigating allegations of elder abuse, financial exploitation, and Medicare fraud against an elderly victim in our community. Gasps throughout the ballroom. People looking at each other, at my parents, back at me. The investigation revealed systematic abuse. The victim was isolated from family support. Medical care was deliberately restricted. Over $35,000 was stolen through a fraudulent caregiver scheme. Dad tried to interrupt. Madison, what are you doing? This isn't the appropriate venue. The perpetrators are here tonight. Richard Davis and Jennifer Davis, you're under arrest. Chaos erupted. Shouts, confusion, cameras going crazy, security moving. But I continued, my voice cutting through the noise. Evidence includes forged power of attorney documents, a fake caregiver company diverting funds, medical neglect resulting in malnutrition and dehydration. You can't do this, Mom screamed. We're your parents. We're donating money to charity. Donating money stolen from your own father. That's when backup moved in. Professional, coordinated, no escape routes. Country club members, city officials, hospital board members, all watching a prominent family being handcuffed. The very people who dismissed me as playing cop were now witnessing my authority. Dr. Hamilton, the hospital's chief of staff, approached the microphone. Is this the William Davis case? Bill served on our board for 15 years. Yes, sir. Mr. Davis is currently receiving proper medical care, expected to make a full recovery once removed from the abusive environment. Mrs. Patterson, a family friend, called out, But they seemed so caring, always talking about Bill's condition. That's how elder abuse works, ma'am. Perpetrators often appear devoted while systematically exploiting their victims. Mayor Henderson pushed through the crowd. Detective Davis, these are serious allegations against respected citizens. Sir, this was an 18-month investigation. Evidence reviewed by the district attorney's office. Multiple felony charges have been filed. The handcuffs clicked. My parents were led through the ballroom, past champagne tables, past silent auction items, past the $50,000 check made out to the children's hospital. Blood money, someone whispered. Detective Johnson approached the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, the investigation into this case revealed sophisticated financial fraud, Medicare theft, insurance violations. This arrest prevents the continued victimization of a vulnerable elderly man. News crews swarmed, interviews, questions, pictures of handcuffed charity co-chairs being led away. The next morning, headlines everywhere. Charity gala turns crime scene. Police officer arrests own parents. Elder abuse case shocks high society. But the best part wasn't the media coverage, wasn't the public vindication, wasn't even my parents' horrified faces when they realized their connections couldn't save them. The best part was the phone call from Grandpa that afternoon. "Kiddo, I saw the news. You did the right thing." "How are you feeling, Grandpa?" "Better. Much better. The nurses here treat me like a human being, not a burden." "You're coming home with me soon. I know. And Madison, I'm proud of you. Your grandmother would be proud too." That evening, D.A. Williams called. Community support was overwhelming. No question about moving forward with prosecution. The political pressure had evaporated after the public saw the evidence. Justice served with an audience watching. Exactly like Grandpa taught me. Real family protects real family, even when it costs everything. 6 months after the trial, Grandpa moved in with me. Not temporarily, permanently. Home. My apartment was small but warm. Garden box on the balcony where Grandpa planted tomatoes, same variety he'd grown in his backyard when I was 8. Hands in the soil, teaching me patience again. "You remember this, kiddo?" He held up a tiny seedling. "Plant them too deep, they can't breathe. Too shallow, the roots won't take hold." "I remember everything, Grandpa." He smiled. "Good. Some things are worth keeping." My parents served 18 months. Restitution was ordered, assets frozen, country club membership revoked. Their social circle evaporated. The life they'd built on appearances crumbled under the weight of truth. They never apologized. Not to me, not to Grandpa. Sometimes pride costs more than money. But Grandpa thrived. Proper medication cleared the cognitive fog. Physical therapy restored his strength. Memories sharpened. Stories flowed again. Vietnam, police work, the grandmother I barely remembered. One evening, watering the tomatoes, he paused. "Madison, what I taught you about helping people." "Yes, sir." "Help those who can't help themselves. I was wrong about something." "What's that?" "I thought I was teaching you to help strangers. Turns out, I was teaching you to help family. Real family." He looked at the tomato plants, full and green. These grew because someone cared enough to tend them daily, water them, feed them, protect them from storms. That's what family does. Shows up, stays, fights when fighting's needed. Grandpa placed his weathered hand on my shoulder. "You showed up, kiddo. When everyone else walked away, you stayed." That night, sitting on the balcony, Grandpa dozed in his chair, peaceful, safe, cared for. I thought about what family really means. Not blood, not last names, not shared DNA. Family is choice. The daily choice to show up, to sacrifice, to protect. Family is whoever teaches you right from wrong, then trusts you to choose right when it's hardest. Family is love without conditions, support without limits, presence without end. If you're listening to this story and feeling invisible in your own family, remember something. Your worth isn't determined by their recognition. Your value doesn't depend on their approval. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't fire or fury. Sometimes it's simply becoming the person they said you'd never be. And sometimes the family that raises you teaches you the most important lesson of all: how to build the family you choose. Comment below if you've ever felt overlooked by people who should have seen you first. Share this with someone who needs to hear they're enough exactly as they are. Subscribe if you believe real family shows up when showing up is hardest. Because that's what we do here. We show up for each other. Always.